पूछो जाके उनसे जिन पे रोशनी नहीं, पूछो जाके उनसे कैसी लगती है कमी।
Hello everyone, very good evening to all of you. Hope you all are doing good, staying safe, staying home. Welcome to Opto Hub. So I'm very happy to introduce tonight's guest speaker, optometrist Miss Richa Gupta ma'am. She has completed her bachelor's from Uttar Pradesh University of Medical Sciences. She has very good practical and research knowledge. She has completed research project on correlation between axial length, CCT, macular thickness in mild, moderate, and severe myopia, etc. She holds practical experience in various camps, almost 50 plus camps she has attended. Screening, comprehensive fellowship, dealing and handling with different kind of patients like CL, retina, cornea, low vision, and pediatrics. Ma'am, it's a pleasure. We'll be hearing you tonight. Thank you so much for accepting our proposal for the session. We are very keen to hear you. Thank you so much, ma'am. Over to you now.
Okay, thank you, Shruti. All Firstly, I want to sorry to all of you for the last inconvenience. There is some technical issues. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. It's okay.
And thank you for the intro. And currently, I am pursuing masters from Bharatiya Vidyapeeth,
Yes, yes.
and master is going on, not yet completed. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
And so today, in this session, we will discuss about the glass prescription in children's basically. So this is a very overview how to prescribe glasses in children. Okay, so I am not touching in this how to write prescription. Okay, how to write the prescription in because uh, there is different places and there is a different organization will suggest some different things. Okay, so I just completing the going process which the optometrist is dealing with the children, adults, and old age pupils. So the ongoing process is will doing retinoscopy and we will return the prescription. So um, in children's we are facing a huge problem in prescribing glasses. Okay, so I just cover up the basic part, and main in this presentation I will cover the emetropization period of a children and the guidelines how to prescribe a glasses in children. There is some guidelines which we are following. So not only me, there is some of my friends I also here to interact with you. There is if there is any issues, so we will all interact to each other. This is an interactive session today. Okay.
Okay,
So
ma'am. But actually, we are recording this session. We will upload it on YouTube. So,
yeah, for sure,
okay.
no issue. But if there is any issues, we will interact with each other. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Uh, okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Any issues?
No, ma'am. No.
Okay. Okay, so this is the content of the today's session. Some developmental aspect. First, I will consider the development aspects of eye and the goals for prescribing glasses. Difficulty, what the kind of difficulty we are facing in children to prescribing. Guideline, what is the trigger point we will use to prescribe. But there is some guidelines. Emetropization period, we all know that this is a very important part in children. And the American guidelines, some of the American guidelines we are following, so we will discuss it. And some I also consider the frame and the lens selection, because this is the not optometry part is not finished on the written the prescription, glass prescription. We also consider the whatever frame for the children, and what are the lens material, what kind of quality we will prescribe to the patient. Okay, so some of the cases I am handling in my fellowship and internship. So I put up in this session, and we will discuss about that. Okay, so first of the developmental aspect, we all know that the corneal power, lens power, AC depth, and axial length is changes according to the when we when the our eye is growth from the infant to the adult. The all the four these four components are changes. Uh, these these four components are changes, and the average, we all know that the average hyperopia 3 to 8 diopter of hyperopia is in, is already present in infants. Okay, so how these um, can you please tell someone ki how these parts how these components corneal power, lens power, and AC depth is related to each other? Anyone tell me about this? How is infants corneal power and lens power, AC depth, axial length is changes in infant and adults? How it's different from each other? Anyone tell me if you want it? Hello? Hello?
Hello, ma'am.
Anyone tell me?
Ma'am,
Yeah, I will just continue the presentation on.
ma'am, actually, the thing is, we are recording this session. We will be uploading it on YouTube. You know that. So we will be answering the questions, and we will be having a question and answer session after the completion of the presentation. Hope you understand.
Okay, no issue.
Yeah, sorry, ma'am, but we have to upload it on YouTube. So please complete your presentation first, and only we'll be answering the questions.
Okay.
And after this,
Better to interact. This is I want this session will be interactive. That's why I'm asking. If you don't want to answer, then it's okay. We will lastly we will consider these all the questions, and when we will interact. Okay.
yeah, for sure.
So what is the goals of prescribing? In adults, we have only one goal, the best corrective visual acuity, and in children there are two main goals. First is the accommodation, and second is the convergence. If the role of accommodation and convergence is optimal, then the image is focused on retina is the preferred focus and retinal image. And this is what I want to ask to the all of you, how the pediatric eye is different from the adult eye. We all know that the infants have a shorter axial length and a flatter base curve, cornea curvature, and the power is relatively very high. Lens power is also high, and so the infants grow. So the infants grow, and the axial length will increases, and the base curve and the cornea curvature becomes so steep, and the power is relatively down, both the lens power and the whole the cornea power. So what's the difficulty to prescribe glasses? What's the difficulty we will facing in children's? So first is the subjective response, second one is the poor attention, and the third one is last is the need for the good cyclopedia, because cyclopedias play a very important role in children, ki what kind of cyclopedia we are using in children at what kind of different age, because there is also a criteria ki what are the different ages of children, and what kind of cyclopedic we have to use. Okay, so I will discuss it also later. So what is the trigger point we are using in prescribing glasses? There is some guidelines. So guidelines not it, I just want to say that what is the trigger point in prescribing glasses. So the whatever we are getting in retinoscopy with cyclopedia, first we have to check the error, what we have getting error is amblyogenic or not. And second thing is, what is the demand of the children? If this is very small, the 6 month or 7 month baby, it is a 1 year, is a school going, is an adult, what's the age of the baby. So what's the visual demands, it is reading, writing, or just playing with toys. So we should check the visual need of the child depending upon his age, depending upon his requirement. We will asking to the patient parents or the children parents, see what kind of uh, activity he or she is doing in his in his or her home. So according to that, we will prescribe glasses. We should prescribe glasses also on the basis of strabismus. That is not create deviation in your eye, not to prescribe excess or not to prescribe under. Okay. So, and the fourth one is age-related emetropization. Obviously, not. This is a very important term. I don't know you all know about emetropization or not. Emetropization is a period the every child goes the growing period of eye from infant to the young adult, in which the cornea, lens power, axial length is all our changes. So according to the age, there is some guidelines of the emetropization period also. How much we deduct from the retinoscopy value at the age of our children. Okay, and astigmatism and type, and how much or type of astigmatism is here. Okay, so these are the 5 factors which are responsible in the prescribing glasses, and this is a very trigger. Amblyopia is a very important factor, because if the value is greater than 1.5 diopter, it creates amblyopia. If the anisometropia between the two eyes is greater than 1.5 diopter, it creates amblyopia in the patient eye. So we have to check the error is amblyogenic or not. Okay. So I also consider the amblyogenic risk factor and included also that first is the anisometropia. First, both spherical and cylindrical is greater than 1.5 diopter. Any manifest strabismus, hyperopia. If hyperopia is greater than 3.5 diopter in any meridian, it's called amblyopia. It's called amblyopia. It's called amblyopia. Myopia magnitude. If it is greater than 3 diopter in any meridian, it causes amblyopia. Any media opacity, if it is greater than 1 mm in size, also causes amblyopia. And the astigmatism is if it is greater than 1.5 diopter at 90 degree or 180 degree, and 1 diopter in oblique axis more than 10 degree and from 90 degree to 180 degree. Okay, if the ptosis is greater than if the ptosis is less than 1 mm from the margin reflex distance, MRD, we are basically known that this term. I don't know you guys are known about MRD or not, because ptosis workup is not doing in all the hospital and in the theories also. So margin reflex distance, you should read out about this from the ptosis part. Okay. So why it is important to correct refractive error in our children? Okay, first the amblyopia. If we are not correcting refractive error in the eye, it causes the delay visual maturation. It causes, or when the delay visual maturation is occur, the deviation of eye does also occur. So we are already talking about emetropization. This is the technical terms which I can put it down. It defines as when eye growing, the relation between the ocular length and the ocular refractive power has to be adjusted simultaneously to maintain a well working optical system. Okay, so when the eye grow, when the infant grow, the axial length becomes shorter. Okay, and the refractive power become higher. Okay, when the eye in infant, its axial length is small and the refractive power is high, and the eye grow and the become going towards the adult side, the axial length become large. It should be a 24 mm, and the ocular refractive power it should be a 60 diopter. So this is the emetropization, but it is not occur spontaneously. It is occur transient state. it is occur in the when the infant, there is a different hematologization period. When it is going in a 1 to 2 years of age is a different thing. When it is going to a period of 2 to 3 years of age, it is a different thing. Okay, so this mechanism, it is refers to a hematologization process, which is very important, and we are considered in the children, and this is only for the children. So some of the things which I read in a book, so I put it down. I put it in this slide. Um, Main tool to predict hematopization is to monitor refractive error. First of all, we have to monitor the refractive error, all the refractive error to all the time. When the child is come to your clinic, first you check the refractive error. We all know that the infant is having a 3 to 8 diopter of hyperopia. Okay, if it is in between this power, so we will predict that it is when the patient is occur when the children is grow, जब वो पूरा grow कर जाएगा, and मतलब it is 7 to 8 years of age, then उसका hemetropic होगा कि नहीं. If suppose one of the child having a 10 diopter of hyperopia, we all know that the child have at birth having a 3 to 8 diopter of hyperopia. So it is larger than, this value is larger than the hematopization value of the child. So we will consider that this is not under the normal predictive values. Okay, so we will predict hematopization बच्चा की hematop होगा कि नहीं होगा at the age. हम सिर्फ ये कर सकते हैं, हम we have to monitor the refractive error of a child at a different age between a 5 to 6 month of follow up. Okay, so those who hematopise, जो hematopise होने के जिनके chances होते हैं, lose approximately 1/2 of their spherical equivalent refractive error in first year. मतलब at the age of first year, the spherical equivalent should be half, and 1/3 at the age of 9 to 21 months of age. And astigmatism, the 2/3 of astigmatism is lost between the 9 to 21 months of age of a child. So when the I already discussed this, when the probability of hematopization decreases, the hyperopia increase. I already given an example that like a patient is having a 10 diopter of hyperop, it is more than the hematopization value of a normal child. Okay, so the probability is become decreases as a hyperopia increases. Okay, and the probability is more than 50%. 50% से थोड़ा सा ज्यादा है. For the 3-month-old baby with the cycloplegic spherical equivalent refraction greater than 5 diopter, and hyperopic children with against the rule astigmatism at 6 months maintain their hyperopia approximately 2 diopters on average, and with the rule it's approx 0.7 diopter hyperopic at 6 years. So in first few months of life, the hyperopia may increase slightly and it declines 1 diopter by 1 year. Okay, हमने consider किया है, हमने काफी studies की हैं, ये research किया है, then we will come out this statement is written in Benjamin Franklin book, Boris Benjamin Franklin book. We have had many studies, many research out, so we will say that on the average of about 1 diopter of hyperopia by age of every 1 year of life. For example, age less than 1 year, the hyperopia is +6 or more. Age between 1 to 2 years, the hyperopia is +5 or more. Age between 2 to 3 years, the hyperopia is +4.5 or more. And age is 4 to 5 years of hyperopia. There is no hyperopia and the eye become hemetropic. Okay, so we consider the children become hemetropic at the age of 5 to 6 years. Not exactly as a 4 to 6 year का एक period हम रखते हैं कि there is a hematopization period of a baby. So we are getting at the age of 1 to 2. अगर हमारे पास कोई बेबी आता है और he or she is having a +6 diopter or more at the age of 1 to 2 years, so it should be a normal. Okay, so this is under the emetropization period. Child is under the emetropization period, so we don't need to prescribe any glasses to the children or the baby until he or she is having a problem with their visual acuity. If she or he having a problem with visual acuity, then we consider that there is a hyperopia more than the emetropization. Okay, so I follow the and मैंने जहाँ से fellowship and मेरा किया हुआ है, they are the fellow, these people follow the American guidelines for prescribing glasses. There is too many guidelines for prescribing glasses. Not only the American guidelines, there is the FAO, FAAO. There is a many guidelines. So we are following American guidelines. So I'll discuss in that. So these are the guidelines for the eyeglasses in young children. Okay. So there is a 4 slot. Age is a 0 to 1 year. Okay, where there is the age is a 0 to 1 year, age 1 to 2 year, or age 2 to 3 year, and age 4 to 7 year. Okay, there is a 4 slot in that, and the isometropia means the similar refractive error in both the eye, and I consider the both the 3 situation: myopia, hyperopia, and astigmatism. And anisometropia, there is a dissimilar refractive error in both the eyes. Okay. So first we consider isometropia. अगर similar refractive error है हमारी eyes में, तो if the baby is having 0 to 1 year of age, the myopia having greater than -5, so it should be considered normal. These value are all the cycloplegic retinoscopic value. Okay, these are not a dry retinoscopy. These are all the cycloplegic value. Okay. So in myopia, if there is a -5 diopter, it should be a normal. We don't need to prescribe. Hyperopia +6 or more than 6, don't need to prescribe. Similarly, in astigmatism is greater than 3 diopter, we no need to prescribe. Similarly, in anisometropia, -2 diopter, we don't need to prescribe at the age of 0 to 1 year. But similarly, in the age of 4 to 7 years, if we are getting -5 diopter, so we need to prescribe full correction. Okay. It all depend on age. So these are the जो मैंने अभी बताया, these are the isometropia and anisometropia. We are also considered the squint situation if there are exotropia and esotropia. Exotropia and esotropia in the isometropia situation. Okay, so there is again a 4 slots here: myopia, full correction. If there is an exotropia and the patient having myopia, then full correction, and hyperopia +3 diopter or more, then we will prescribe. Otherwise we don't need to prescribe an exotropia. Okay, similarly in esotropia, myopia having, so then full correction, and hyperopia is full correction. And similarly with all these values. I hope you are all getting. I'm not interactive, that I don't know you are all getting or not. This is a very crucial thing, and this is the bread and butter of our optometry. Okay, so I hope you all understand these things. And the second thing is that we all know that how to dilate the children and at what type of drop. Okay, so this is a chart in which I write it how to dilate a patient. It's 0 to 1 year, 1 to 2 year, 2 to 3, and 4 to 7, and greater than 7. It's if the patient having myopia, then at the age of 0 to 1 year, dilate with atropine. Okay, if the myopia is 1 to 2 years of age, dilate with CTC. CTC is a cyclopentolate, tropicamide, and cyclopentolate. Okay, T-plane is a tropicamide. Okay, then go with the similar to the esotropia and the exotropia. Then I consider some refractive error correction with strabismus, that I already told that in a chart. If the child having esotropia, then prescribe full hyperopic correction. If the child having a high AC by A ratio, uh, then prescribe, we all know that the executive bifocals we need to prescribe in myopia according to the, if the child having myopia, then we will prescribe according to the visual demand. Similar in the exotropia, full correction and according to the visual demand. In nystagmus, we glass prescribed at the null zone. And in the CBI and the development delay children, we need to not appreciate improvement. Whatever we are getting, we are prescribing. Okay, in CBI and development delay children. And Down syndrome, we all know that there is a lag of accommodation in Down syndrome. So we need to prescribe according to the retinoscopy. Okay. Similarly, in anisometropia is greater than 3 diopter or less, greater than 3 diopter, we need to prescribe it and consider visual acuity. If the amblyopia already present, and give correction, otherwise there is no need to prescribe glasses. In unilateral and bilateral aphakia, we need to prescribe only the near correction at the in children, because there is only the near work of the children, until unless there is no writing or there no बच्चा स्कूल नहीं जा रहा है, कोई distance activity नहीं कर रहा है, तो we don't need to prescribe a distance correction, only the near correction we need to prescribe it. Okay. In pseudophakia, there is some rule for the pseudophakia. As a less than 1 year of age, there is we need to prescribe +3 diopter. At the age of 1 to 2 years of age, +2 diopter, and the 2 to 3 years of +1 diopter, and greater than 3 years of it +3 diopter, and should be executed bifocal, because there is no role of accommodation in that. Executive bifocal, there are some tips for class prescription. Executive bifocal in pseudophakia, CP is for the cerebral palsy cases, Down syndrome. Okay. Near segment should coincide with the lower limb, because there is no role of accommodation in pseudophakia and Down syndrome and cerebral palsy patient, because cerebral palsy and Down syndrome patient are having a lag of accommodation. That's why we don't need to prescribe at the coincide with the pupillary margin. We need to prescribe at the near segment coincide with the lower limbus. And in pseudophakia, there is no role of accommodation. That's why we are prescribing that. And esotropia with high AC by ratio, near segment should bisect the pupil, because there is a role of accommodation in convergence in that. Okay. Similarly, in the neurological patient, we need to prescribe a full correction until unless there is an accommodated lag or not. जैसे कि cerebral palsy, and we also given a near glasses for the occupational therapy if she or he having a near activities more of. So we all know that the types of glasses, no need to explain it. So single vision glasses for the normal distance glasses, and we are overcorrect lenses -2 diopter till the age of 60 years. If the patient is having XT, that means the exotropia with high AC by A ratio, we have to overcorrect the child. This is a temporary overcorrection which control the deviation only. Okay. And for the near dominant glass, we already taught about that. Okay. Bifocal, this is all I already taught. Should be bisect to the pupil if the high AC by A ratio will be the optimal balance between the accommodation and convergence. And 3 years of age operated for cataract, that means the pseudophakia, there is no need to bisect the pupil. The near segments will coincide with the lower limbus. So the progressive, we all know that the progressive is also controlling the progression of myopia, and progressive is also describing pseudophakia. Okay, and homite with the near eye for reading, lack of accommodation, and Down syndrome. And how the progressive is working out, that in the progression of myopia is the hypro. It controls the hyperopic defocus in a children in any of the myopic eye. In any of the myopic, it control the hyperopic defocus. That's why we are prescribing progressive glasses to control the axial length of the eye. So it's also control the myopia. And homite with the near eye, we given homite, so the near vision is already blurry, so we need to prescribe near eye for the reading. And lack of accommodation again is dealing with hyperopic defocus in myopic children. That's why we have to prescribe um, progressive in these. And ortho K lenses, orthokeratology is also working in progression of myopia and lack of accommodation. And Down syndrome is also having a lack of accommodation. That's why we need to prescribe progressive for that. Frame selection, there are some cases which I want to tell you. These are all I think you all know that the must frame should be fit correctly, should be comfortable and durable, must not be hamper the natural development of the host, because this is the developing age of a child. It should be a skin friendly. The practitioner need to ensure the pupil and lens are correctly centered or not. And the first and more the thing is the safety. First and last thing in general. So children don't have a developed nose, so it should be a lower crest and larger frontal angle. And material mainly use cellulose acetate, titanium, polyamide, and optile and silicone based rubber frame for children. Lens should be a little thin, light, impact resistant, durable, and UV protected. So it is friendly to the children, and it is also considered a safety issue. So I just considered some frame and which type of lenses we are using. These are some cases I put in this slide. So we consider this aphakia, high myopia, high hyperopia, and some facial deformity, in which the special type of frames and glasses we have to prescribe. In the cases of ptosis, Crouzon syndrome, Treacher-Collins syndrome, Down syndrome, albinism, and coloboma, squint, and nystagmus. Okay, so one by one we will discuss it. First is the aphakics. The aphakics are smaller eye size, down shape, and shape with a small frame difference, adjustable nose spread, short vertex distance, and comfortable distance. And we all know that the hyperopia, I don't think so I'll go through it. You all know that. And high myope, similarly smaller eye size, rounded corners. Okay, so I just want to cover this part, the facial deformity and abnormality. The ptosis, okay, so use frame with the lid crutches, and this is a eye the before correction and after correction through glasses. Okay, so these are also known as the crutch frame. And the Crouzon syndrome, we all know that in this type of syndrome where eyes seems to be popping out smaller, so we need to prescribe a smaller eye size frame and with reduced working distance, and cause frame with reduced vertex distance. So this may cause irritation to the eyelid. Treacher-Collins syndrome, in this type of syndrome there is an absent or the maldevelopment of ear. So in this type we are using frames with the headbands like a tomato frames. Down syndrome, these are the example. These are center picture is a tomato frame with the headband, and the silicone rubber headband is used in there. So this is the special type of frame we are using in these type of children's. Okay, and we all know that the child having in Down syndrome, Mangalian features, reviews rectangular frames, low crest, high step bridges, extra wide frame. So we need to use extra wide frame front and shortened upper. Tomato frames we already discuss about their adjustable curl side and movable adjustable bridges. Okay. And Iron world frame. There are two types of frame which are uses. Is a Iron world frame, extra wide frame front and low bridges and short and taper in that. Okay. And in albinism and coloboma cause photophobia, and where patient is also having nystagmus and refractive error, strabismus, amblyopia. Both there is a multiple things in albinism and coloboma. So we need to prescribe a hypoallergic, UV protective, and tinted frame and photochromatic lenses. And better it prescribe polarized sunglasses. Similarly, in strabismus and nystagmus, frame choice is in other cases. Similarly, हम frame ही रखेंगे, but in strabismus and nystagmus, we need to prescribe prisms to control the nystagmus and strabismus. So, prism can be grounded in glass up to 10 prism diopter, hence can be used base in and base out as a relieving prism. Okay, up to 10 prism diopter, depend is exo or ESO, and we are using Fresnel prisms also up to 14 prism diopter. And in nystagmus we have to prescribe prism apex towards the dampening side of nystagmus, towards the null gauge, apex always towards the null gauge of the nystagmus. Okay, done. I'm done with it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was very informative. Thank you so much. It was very, it was our pleasure to interacting with you. And it was very informative. Now we will be having our question and answer session. So, guys, now it's your time. Please ask your questions. And ma'am, if you have any question to the students, please.
No, I don't have any. So if you have any query, then ask me.